to kind of be able to look and see where everything is. You know, but mainly the first two things I'm looking for is A, where are the downspouts going if there are any, and B, you know, what's the pitch of the land and where could we hypothetically put a pump and or discharge the water that's in the crawl space. This is pretty interesting looking with this garage. It almost looks like it's not on a slab. We'll start to do some measurements here. I'll probably start over on this side. Let's see here. What we'll do is I'll just take this guy, run it to about right where that little part is right there. So we're gonna go about 9 feet. And then we'll scoot over here, and then that's where we see another one of these downspouts again, just spilling right into the ground. All that's happening here is it's just going right back into the foundation. So that needs to be obviously addressed. And then I always like to count how many vents they've got here. And then obviously this one looks okay as far as it's got a galvanized well around it. But you know, perfect example, a rat or anything could just come right under this and then just chew through this. But I like to do the old-fashioned way. $24. Right through the water. Love that. And if you look right here, it's just quintessential drainage issues. You know, they've got everything sloping down towards the house, but it's got nowhere to go. So just looking at stuff like that, first and foremost. Range or every downspout she's got, this is how my house was before I got there. They spill out, and all that's happening is basically you're capturing not only all the rain that lands around the house, but now you've got, again, the whole square footage of the roof. All that rain is just spilling out right back in, and eventually as something like this slab, you'll start to see it start to sag and stuff. More vents again. If we talk about encapsulation, every single one of these vents will have to get closed up. So it's always good to have a good number. And so another thing, you know, going back is you always want to look at the way that everything is kind of sloping, which is going to be this way. So if I had to guess, the low point of the house will definitely be over here, but we'll figure that out once we get to the bottom. Is that what's going on here? Yeah, that's bizarre. Yep, that is totally clogged up, so that one isn't doing anything for her. Then once we've done all of this from the outside, taking pictures, measurements, and then before I go under, is I'll ask to see if we can get into the garage and just make sure that this is exactly, that's it, and doesn't go any further or do anything weird. So looking at stuff like this right here, this is pretty interesting. You're under the slab, So if we do an encapsulation, that would obviously seal off all of that. And then we want to get under all this right here. Point out that's where something has definitely many times has tunneled under. And then you've got your vents, you know, here, which I always like to look at, make sure. This is really common to run piping through them, and it's not ideal. What's going on, but what happens here is you get so much moisture over time that this just all will eventually fall down just due to gravity, and all that holds it up is just this twine, which never ever does its job. Yummy stuff over here. Don't worry, I'm breaking up all the cobwebs for you. Sign of something a little larger. That's very big feces. There's not much of a vapor barrier even left. Also, you always know about rat droppings. They're very peculiar. They always use the bathroom up on either, you know, the footing like this or on the post and piers. Telltale sign that there's quite a bit of rodents that have been in here. Another thing that I like to you always do is you count how many posts there are. With the posts, with our encapsulations, we jack and level we jack up each one and slide the vapor barrier actually under it. And that's just so that if you don't do that, what ends up happening is you've got moisture that's coming from the soil is now concentrated onto 40 teeny little material posts, and that is what will basically cause that to rot and will make the floors even more uneven. But it's hard work, and we got the best crews in the business. Okay, so take pictures of stuff like this just to show that there's essentially no vapor barrier at all. Now, with this house, it's actually pretty interesting. It's bone dry. I haven't seen a single lick of anything that would make me think that there's flooding issues, or even really ever have had flooding issues. There is a section over here where she was talking about. None of our guys are getting in that right there. That's maybe a foot, 10 inches from dirt to joist. So if we do work in here, that will have to be a section that we'll have to charge for a dig out. Ooh, yeah, it's tight. Figure out exactly where we are. Sometimes it's easy to get disoriented in spaces like this. Let me go, and if you can feel it getting really cold right here, and I'm wondering what this is. You don't want to come over here. You're gonna get stuck. So that's that. Now we'll make our way back that way, which is where we came in. Whew. I need to see what's going on. See, and you can see right here, this is her ducting for her house, and it's compromised right here, and you can just feel it. It's just hot. We will fix that stuff. If I go over here, am I gonna be stuck is the question. Only one way to find out. More of the same over here. Tons of insulation that's down. Thing that we always like to talk about and look when it comes to insulation is this house would not be considered up to code, just due to the fact that there's so much of their insulation that's supposed to be in their floors is on the ground. These big old boulders, I've never seen boulders. So the foundation wall is just right behind it on the other side, but I've never seen boulders of that size in a crawl, ever. This is a pretty heavily critter-ridden space. Spot to look where you can see where we can't access beyond this ducting right here. We have over here, so this is also pretty unique. This is what we're crawling on right now, and then they poured this slab, but there's a dead space between the two. So with this, we would have to put down our, it's called drainage matting for here, but you can tell where this is all a new addition all up here, because you can see how much newer it all is, how the insulation hasn't been totally compromised over here like it has the rest of the house. We just need to, I know exactly where this is in reference to the house, so I'll just make sure that when we give her the price for stuff that this will include drainage matting. But other than that, that's where we came in right there. So we've done the full inspection, and it's pretty messy down here. I'm gonna actually see it. And this is what you see. You see people who come down here and they do work, and they don't leave anything, or they don't take anything with them. They just start cutting stuff up, and they just leave it. So when we do our clean outs, we clean this whole space out of everything. Leave it a lot nicer than we found it. Time to go up and out. If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, I guess. Math, which everyone loves math. 16. We'll do spray foam around the entire perimeter, so we just need to calculate the square footage for that. But when we picture on the encapsulation, our encapsulations include drainage that's already dug, so that if in the future, if they do decide to put a pump in, we don't have to rip the whole clean space encapsulation up. We can just basically tie right into a pump. But as of right now, I'm not even gonna suggest a pump, just because it's bone dry down there. But what we do is we'll put a smart drain down there, and what the smart drain does is it basically will alert her if she's ever got any kind of plumbing leaks. But other than that, what we'll have is we'll come in, we'll encapsulate the full space with our Terra block and our clean space. We'll seal off all the vents. She had mat under that. But other than that, we got all the calculations, and we'll go in there. We'll bring her some brochures to show kind of what we're talking about. And then I always like to bring product samples as well, kind of show what the difference between everything is, and then we'll be all set.